One thing that did happen though, somebody said, "Oh, who do you get to battle Jay-Z in the verses?" That's what I did, right? And then I said, "There's only one person. There might be two. The one person you have to do it for the culture with is Nas."
Right.
Versus, because they only get 20 songs.
Right.
So I think Nas can hang with them for 20 songs.
And they actually battled for real. Like they actually had their little, ether and all
Right.
that good stuff, Super Ugly and everything. So
Right.
they did actually kind of lyrically battle a little bit. Nas killed them, but
Ethered them?
yeah, he poisoned them for sure.
Right. But my opinion is, and don't shoot me for this, excuse me, I think there's a point where Nas started to be stagnant and Jay-Z kept going.
Yeah, for sure. And I love Nas and I love Jay. Jay is probably my favorite rapper of all time.
Right. So, but I said for 20 songs, it's gonna be it's gonna be nuts.
Yeah.
So I said, Nas, you had to do that for the culture. And then I said, you know who I said next? I said probably Drake.
Drizzy. So
And he agreed, kind of.
right. But it's just, I guess if you're doing it more just for the music instead of like the time period.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because he was a decade and a half
Right.
before Drake even came out.
Right.
Or so, a decade. Yeah, a little over a decade. So it's like it doesn't really, but hits wise and music and lyrically, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said. I
Yeah.
said, yo, and I was surprised that he agreed because we had a conversation. He actually listens to the podcast a lot, and he was like, yo, I kind of agree with you when I went back and I listened to Drake's verse on Aston Martin Music, and I was like, yeah. I said, that shit gave me chills just from a hip-hop standpoint, like a punchline standpoint, like everything he was saying. And I was like, it felt like it came out like 6 months later after Aston Martin Music dropped. I felt like we didn't hear Drake's verse for like 6 months. And then all of a sudden, like, yo, where was this? But he agreed. And I said, for 20 songs, he would shoot him a fair one.
Right. I've actually never even watched one versus. I haven't watched any.
I watched The Locks.
The Locks one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I just heard that was a massacre.
That
so
shit was
You know what's crazy?
embarrassing.
Wait, so I saw this video that Jim Jones did because he had caught COVID.
Right.
And he was saying, it knocked him out. Like, he thought he was Superman, knocked Superman out, whatever. And,
Right.
I had to read the comments. And people were like, Jadakiss made him sick.
What do you mean Jadakiss made him sick? What does that mean?
At the verses, because he killed him.
Oh.
He made him sick. Like, they
Yeah.
were crushing him in the comments. And I'm just like, oh, man. Yeah, they were just saying a whole bunch of slick stuff or whatever. But
The Locks was.
I heard it
was borderline
murdered.
disrespectful.
Yeah, they just murdered. Like I heard, but to me, Dipset isn't lyrical.
Right.
They're not lyrical at all.
Right.
So that was gonna be hits wise. They both had hits for that time, but
Yeah, but
Locks,
it's different.
Yeah, no.
Because the Locks are like friends as well, so they see each other damn near every. Like
So
they do.
who do you think would have been a fair? Who it would have been a fair fight with the Locks? Who do you think? What group at that time? Because sometimes they say the verses aren't picking the right people. Like they don't feel like some of these people, like they said, Jeezy destroyed Gucci.
The same way
Not-
Rick Ross destroyed 2 Chainz.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like it needs to be a little more equal. Like I don't even know how 2
That's a
Chainz
good
and
question.
Rick Ross. Like I don't even get that. And I like them both in their own right. You
Right.
know? 2 Chainz don't be saying shit, but I like his music.
Right.
That's
a good question. God.
And another part, who would you want to see do a versus? Group, guy, girl, singer, whatever.
I would definitely like to see Jay
And Drake?
and Drake.
Okay.
Yeah. Just because at one time there was kind of like a beef there too. Like, but I don't think anything will ever be as disrespectful as Locks and
Okay, so who would have made a good
shit. Against the Locks?
Yes.
What other groups were out back then? Like, I don't know. Because I can't recall at this point, like real groups, like people collaborated. You know what I mean? A lot of people say, oh, well, it could be Young Guns or something like, no. Like the Locks, they're indestructible. Like,
Okay, who do you think would have been, let's say we take it Philly, so like early 2000s, State Property?
No.
No, I'm not talking about battling the Locks. I'm saying like who would you think would be able? So to me, it has to make sense.
Right.
The two people you're putting together.
Right.
So I guess they're both from New York. Dipset around the same time, but like their music was very different.
I think Dipset may have been a little bit later.
A little bit, teeny bit later than the Locks.
I think the Locks were like 97, 98 maybe.
I don't know, but to me, that was coming.
They
should have known. They should have known. Yeah. That wasn't right.
Well, I guess some people are saying that the Dipset didn't line up the right songs.
But then they were saying Joel's had on like 18 things.
He had on like 20 scarves.
They were like, why he looked like a laundry pile in the corner of the room?
Listen,
like,
it was so disrespectful. Like Jada snatched the thing off his head.
No, he didn't.
This is how disrespectful this versus was. Like it was to the point.
And there was no hands thrown? No
hands. Like I think the whole time people were on edge. And I know this is old news, but people were on edge like, yo, it's about to be a fight. Like motherfuckers like, yo, shut the fuck up. Like it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was another thing when Jim Jones said that he had COVID. It's like, well, Jada said COVID was in the building. Like there was just anything. I was like,
listen.
They were just like destroying him. I was like, wow, in the comments.
It was nasty.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know what to tell you, but I would, if I had the choice, I would like to see Jay and Drake do it. But I gotta be honest with you, I had Jay like all the shit that I like from Jay and State Property and the ROC like on a playlist today, and I forgot like some of the shit that's out there. How many bangers
that was out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, oh.
But even like with State Prop and, they had Oskino, right? And Sparks. And then you had Petey. And then you had Freeway. And then you had Young Guns. And then you had Beanie. You had a lot of different, and they all had hits. They all had hits.
Right.
And then it just kind of went left.
I would like to see maybe Beanie and Scarface. I think that would be a fair one.
I don't listen to enough of Scarface's music. I can't say if I agree or not with that because I don't listen to enough, like I said, of his music. I don't know enough of his music.
Right. Then my guy was like, oh, well, Jay wouldn't do it. I said, I don't know. Old Jay might do it.
You know what they said that did not make sense to me at all?
What?
That people wanted to see? Usher and Chris Brown. I said, first of all, they're not even in the same. Usher came out in the early 90s. Usher started singing when he was,
I got Usher.
13 or 14. Definitely Usher. The new school is going to say Chris Brown. But no, Usher. Usher is probably my favorite R&B singer. Some people might call him a little poppy, but R&B. Like, absolutely will crush Chris Brown.
Right.
Chris Brown has a lot of hits. But Chris Brown, to me, I do like his music, but it annoys me sometimes that his music is just all over other people's beats. Mm-hmm. Most of his music is just all over other people's beats. So, but Usher all the way. But to me, that doesn't make sense. You got a dude that came out in the mid, 2000s? And then you got someone who came out in the early 90s. It's not even the right decade. Like, I don't know.
But that's weird. What they said. That's what they thought was going to happen with the Locks and Dipset. They thought because Dipset was more newer, was more recent, that people would just they thought it would be a runaway.
Yeah, but Dipset is still old to people. The new people don't even know who Dipset is.
That's true too.
We're already in 2021. So when we're talking about music in the late 90s, some of these kids are 20 years old. They were babies when this music came out.
Oh.
So wait,